Let's now dive into. Let me see what we had on tap here real quick. All right, we get the betting odds. Let's get into this PFF breakdown real quick. Shouldn't take long, Jacob, but I thought this was interesting. They've got an off-season page here on PFF's website for the Packers, and it just shows you a quick glance at who they lost in free agency, the bigger names, and who they picked up. So obviously, moving on from, or the players that they lost in free agency was Eric Stokes, cornerback, right? Josh Myers, center, and TJ Slayton, defensive line. Now, keep in mind, these rankings are the PFF free agency rankings. So it's not necessarily anything to do with EPA or advanced metrics. It's just simply this is how PFF's seen them. Okay. And it's not even really about the PFF grades either. It's someone put this together in their ranking system for their free agents, and this is how they had them. So they had Eric Stokes as the 188th PFF free agent ranking. Josh Myers was sitting at 129. TJ Slayton was sitting at 201. And then if you look at the additions, Aaron Banks, the guard picked up there from the San Francisco 49ers in free agency, they had him ranked the 72nd best PFF free agent. Mecole Hardman was ranked 114. That's wide receiver out of Kansas City, obviously. And then cornerback Nate Hobbs was ranked 85th. So when you look at what we lost here, and we'll try to compare apples to apples as much as we can. Like, let's compare Nate Hobbs and Eric Stokes. Obviously, they play the same position. So you let walk in free agency, according to PFF, the 188th ranked free agent, and you picked up the 85th rank. Pretty nice little improvement there. And the thing about Nate Hobbs, if you look at the PFF grades recently, not so good. But, man, his rookie year balled out. Guess who his head coach was that year? Rich Bisaccia. So keep that in mind. Maybe it's something that Bisaccia put in a little word and they looked at the tape. This guy attacks the football. I love how he adds a little bit of extra defense in the running game. Really, really like what he brings to the table. Now, when you look at offensive lineman wise, let's kind of compare somewhat apples to apples. You're picking up the 72nd best free agent, according to PFF, in Aaron Banks, and you lost the 129th. So once again, another pretty large net gain there. And then, of course, you got two positions that don't correlate. You lost TJ Slayton, which PFF had him ranked 201. I would have put him higher than that. You guys know I was a little higher on TJ Slayton than most Packer fans. However, Mecole Hardman, wide receiver you pick up, speedy guy, can return kicks, can be a little bit of a gadget player. For some reason, Jaden Reed gets banged up. You've got someone with world-class speed, Mecole Hardman, to jump in there. He was the 114th ranked free agent. So if you wanted to compare the third player that was dropped and the third player that was added, you got another huge net gain there. According to PFF, Jacob, we improved this team in free agency in terms of who we picked up and who we lost, man.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's worth realizing that even though sometimes, like, if you read most of the headlines, a lot of the beat writers, a lot of the clickbaity stuff, Packers didn't do anything in free agency. They, overpaid this, overpaid that, didn't spend enough money, didn't go out and get guys. Well, sometimes it's the quiet moves that build that floor in the back half of your roster or just in certain key positions that really make the difference. And as you said there, I wasn't a massive fan of the Bank signing, I'll be honest, but when you compare that, again, to what goes in, what comes out, we're kicking out of Josh Myers, similar age, range there, but you exchange one for 72nd overall rank for 129, like you said with Mecole, like you did with Nate Hobbs, exponentially quite better. The Hobbs for Stokes pick, you're going up 100 ranking points, you know what I mean, just in free agency. So, and you're going down slightly in age. So to me, those are some quieter moves that didn't, again, flash in the pan. They weren't, clickbaity. Nobody was wowed and, oh my God, you guys signed Mecole Hardman. Cool. But they did make our team better. And that's all you can ask of from a front office going into a year where we didn't have a lot of holes on this team. We just, again, needed to find the right players to fill those small areas of need. I think we did a better job than most people give us credit for.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to the chat, see what everybody's saying in here. Deadfish says Slayton is the one I wish we still had. I somewhat agree, Deadfish. For the right price, my number was $5 million. I would have been willing to pay.
You got too much money.
Yeah, once he cracked 7, I was like, you know what? It's just, I can't justify that. But he was better at rushing the passer than most people believe he was. If you look at the pressure percentage in terms of NFL Pro and actually go watch the tape and look at those specific snaps where he did, you can confirm he got pressure on the quarterback. A little bit better at pass rush than I expected him. I'm not saying he was a dominant run defender. Everyone thinks because he's so big, oh, yeah, that's what he does really, really well. I felt like he was probably a little bit better at rushing the passer in terms of the tape as opposed to playing the run.
I think a fair summarization of him, and I can't remember who said it, but they're like, he's quite a bit better than I would have ever expected at stopping or at rushing the passer, and quite a little bit worse than I would have expected at stopping the run. And it's like, all right, well.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. I was trying to pull up the Packers pressure percentage real quick. I don't want to misquote, but I'm almost positive that was what we came up with when we did that deep dive. So if we go to all the players, I'm not going to put it on the screen, but I'll just kind of give you guys the rundown here. This is all the positions. So let's find the interior defensive lineman. All right, going down the line here. The first one was Devontae Wyatt at 9.7%. And then second was TJ Slayton at 8.8%. So yeah, Jacob, he was right there. I mean, less than 1% pressure rate behind Devontae Wyatt in terms of what the GPS tracking shows. So if you look at it from that standpoint, if you're high on Devontae Wyatt, then we know Devontae Wyatt run defense was not his strength, although he did get better last year from the year before, in my opinion. It looked like his run stop rate went up. But TJ Slayton was right on his heels. The next would be Kenny Clark, who came in at 6.8%. So that's a pretty significant drop off. As much as I love our Carl Brookses on the team, his was at 6.4%. But many people don't understand too that Carl Brooks played a lot of nose last year. That surprised me. It seemed like more times than not you turn on the tape and he was actually playing a one tech as opposed to a 3 or a 4 eye. So yeah. Moving along.
Hey, Emilio, how are you?
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
He's been waiting all night to hit that on you, Emilio.
I'm good, Jacob. How are you?
Fun. It's nervous hitting those buttons without Tim here,
I know. I know. Tell me about it.
Holmes in the chat says, talking about Mecole Hardman, he says Bo is faster. All right. Probably straight line speed. I would agree with that. I don't know what the 40 times were exactly. Greg Rice says, I think Bo is on the bubble. I completely agree, Greg. It sucks because Bo Melton is one of those dudes I really like on this team. But I'm picking Malik Heath over Bo Melton. That's just me personally. A couple different facets in the game. He's got better hands, got a better contested catch rate. He also blocks better than Bo. Not that Bo's not willing, but Malik Heath's a dog in the blocking game, in my opinion. There's just a little bit more to work with there with Malik Heath. When you look at the EPA and some of the advanced metrics, he was hands down way better than Bo. Bo took a pretty big step back. How do you guys feel about that? You think Bo Melton is on the bubble here? Like I'll pull
cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Yeah, like if we were to carry 6, let's say they're going to carry 6 like they have in the past. You're going to go Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed, right? Savion Williams, Dontavion Wicks. You're already at 5. So now you got to decide, is it going to be Malik Heath, Mecole Hardman, or Bo Melton? You have to choose between those 3. Once again, Malik Heath, Mecole Hardman, or Bo Melton. Which one of those 3 are you keeping on your roster, Jake?
Malik Heath, hands down. Just like you said, he's one of those guys, kind of like some of the backup running backs that I highlighted in a previous episode, where they just do everything right. And for just the fact that they were a UDFA and you got a lot of draft capital on a lot of guys you spent some serious money on that are ahead of him in the depth chart, and barring an injury or some crazy situation, it's probably just not going to get him on the field as much. But dude, the guy's size, his speed, the way that, like you said, he can pinpoint a ball, bring it down, physical guy, willing to block dudes into the freaking water cooler. And he's got that jabber jaw, which I like because he backs it up. I think that he is a spark plug. And in key situations, if you remember, he scored touchdowns and first downs for us that were pretty impressive. They weren't just gimmies. Like I'm talking him separating, getting control of that ball and kind of being violent. I liked what he did. He does everything. He blocks violently. He runs routes aggressively. He does the yak. I mean, I really just love him as a player. And I think that on any other team, he could be easily a wide receiver 3, if not higher.
Yeah. What do you think? Which one of those 3 are you choosing there?
Tough agreeing with Jacob, but yeah, I'm going to have to go with Heath too. I think it's not that I don't like Mecole. It's just that I get the return aspect of it, having that other option in there. But I just don't think that, bringing in a guy from KC, I love that, he's got that experience. We'll get a little bit of veteran, presence from him. But I think Heath just knows a little bit more of this offense, kind of knows where to be on everything. And I think that it would just work out a little bit better if we had Malik in here that knew what was going on.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. Let's see here what everybody said. Ed Madden in the chat says, I could see Hardman making it as a returner and depth. Completely agree. There's a little bit more value there than with Bo, as Daryl pointed out. Haven't seen Melton return kicks before. Let me tell you something. On Madden, he's a dog in the return game. But in real life, for whatever reason, it just has not worked out. I don't know if there's got to be something they've seen in practice. They're like, yeah, this ain't for him. I don't know. Maybe it's securing the key. That's a lot more difficult than people realize. When you get out there and you think, okay, well, he could catch a football. He's a receiver. He should be able to catch a kick. No, it's a whole different ballgame returning a kick. And it takes a special kind of person, I mean special in a crazy way, to stare straight up in the air while you've got world-class athletes full sprint coming to take your head off. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what it is with Bo. I don't know. But Mecole Hardman definitely has that in him, that ability. As H.E. Solder said, too, Hardman is shiftier than Melton. There's no two ways about that. Melton, just straight line speed, right? Hardman has definitely got that ability to jump around. We haven't talked about Hardman much, man.
No. Like Coach was saying here, though, Bo plays gunner on special teams, which is a big thing. On punt team, the guy running down the field to the screamer to go after the man. I think that's key. I mean, that's something that's you're going to make the team based on special teams at that point when you're that far down the line. I
think Coach Lynn just found the one thing that Bo Melton is more valuable to the team than Malik Heath, right? Because Malik Heath doesn't have that kind of speed. That's a great pull there, Coach. Didn't think about that.
Can anybody in the chat bring up Malik Heath's speed? Because I don't think he was like I just don't know if he's a 4.5 guy, if he's higher, lower.
Let me fire up the old Google machine here. Malik Heath, right? 40. 4.64.
Dang. Okay, so he is kind of a that's what Coach said.
Yeah, 6'2",
confirmed.
213 pounds, 4.640. So, yeah. Again, and you think, okay, why do you want him as a receiver if he's that slow? Speed isn't everything at playing receiver, And again, those contested catches, that win rate, that EPA per target, all those things that I think he might have led the Packers in EPA per target last year. If I remember.
Is it an oxymoron for a guy to be a 4.64 but still be a possession receiver, or does that match a little more than it might not sound like? You know what I'm saying? Like, you think of a possession receiver, do they have to have blazing speed, or do they just have to be violent, like you said, with contesting catches, decent route running, yak? Yeah. Like,
when I think of a possession receiver, I think you got to be able to play in the phone booth. I think of a boundary rat, like someone that on the short side of the field. You got to be able to win those isolation one-on-one matchups, and you're going to be catching the football in traffic. So you got to have strong hands. That's what I think of with a possession.
Larry Fitzgerald?
Bingo. That's a perfect ball right there. I remember Anthony Johnson back in the day. Now, Anthony Johnson top off a little bit, but you get him in a contested catch situation, he's coming away with that football.
You get him in the phone
Calvin
booth.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Now, Calvin was just the thing about
everything.
Calvin, Jacob. Yeah. That guy, what was it, 4.2 40 speed, if I remember correctly? It was either 4.2 or 4.3.
Like 220.
Yeah, he's built like a tight end, but runs like, freaking Mecole Hardman, Real. I mean, I think name a fast receiver. Maybe not quite Tyreek Hill speed, but he definitely had the stride length over Tyreek Hill. There's no doubt about that. This is NFL Pro, and I wanted to just make sure here. Let's see, receiving EPA. Get you over here. So that's not pulling up the advanced metrics here. Let me go to Explore more. Hopefully it don't. And it did. It reset. No, we're okay. We're good. I want to see receiving or EPA per target. Here we go. EPA per target. Malik Heath. Look at him leading the way. That's what I was talking about. It's like, and again, he only got 13 targets, so that is a minute amount. However, he ran 62 routes. His catch rate over expected, another one. Look at that, plus 9.7%, right? By the way, look at Ben Sims at a plus 15.8%. So I love looking at just all the different angles and kind of seeing, okay, where do these guys, lie at in comparison? Jaden Reed, his EPA per target was second best on the team at a plus 0.50. So understand, guys, when you hear the drops, this makes sense when you see a statistic like that, EPA per target being that high, and then you see his drop rate higher, you guys say, okay, let's look at the drops. Lo and behold, we go and watch those only 5 incompletions out of 20 targets. And we're talking Jaden Reed here, 20 targets in the last however many 5 games of the season. Only 5 of them fell incomplete, one of which he fell down, and there's one that could have been considered a drop, and he had to lay out full extension to try to catch the football. If these people that are trying to fudge the numbers to prove a point or argument because they were emotionally unstable during the season and wanted to act like Jaden Reed was a horrible football player, that's how you do that. Is, oh, I'm going to count that as a drop. Nobody's going to check me. Nobody's going to go watch the tape. It's so few people that actually go watch the tape. Now listen, it's like people that attended the Ice Bowl. Lambeau Field, how many did it hold back then? I don't even know. It was probably less than 50,000, I'd imagine. I've heard 2.6 million people say they were at the Ice Bowl, right? It's amazing how many people say they watch tape. I went and watched the tape. Well, the tape suggests, and you never see them do a film breakdown. You never see them show, here's what I'm seeing, and give their opinion in that regard. And if you don't want to watch film, it's cool, but, stop peeing on my leg and telling me it's raining. So Jaden Reed, again, I think he's going to blow up this year. Tucker Kraft here too, boys, plus 0.47. So
what kind of pops off the screen a little bit there is the deep throw percentage. Obviously, you think, oh, Watson's number 1, right? 34%. As Bo Melton actually was at 35.3, and then there's quite a steep drop off. So that is kind of another area where you could probably chalk it up that Bo has over Malik, is just that being able to take the top off the defense and have guys run with them.
And again, when you look at Malik Heath's 7.7% on deep percentage, that shows you what we're talking about, kind of playing underneath in the phone booth type right. thing. That's what he does well. And
which I think Golden might be able to slide into some of that role. If Bo's not going to be it while Christian's out, I think that, that could be Golden's wheelhouse as well.
Right. Let's say Bo doesn't make the roster. Christian's out till November. Hopefully he comes back in October, but I would think it's fair to say probably would be November. Who takes those deep routes, guys? Who cracks the 25% mark? It's going to be Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
And I'm so freaking excited about it, man. It's going to be a blast to watch. So, any other stats y'all want to see here while we're on NFL Pro in terms of receiving or any other position, anything that ever comes to mind? But hey, I'd really like to know where this person ranks in this regard. Anything at all? We good?
I think we're good. The only thing I was wondering was how often did teams have their quote unquote number 1 receiver returning punts and stuff? So if we're gonna have Jaden Reed back there on punt return, how often are teams running their number 1? Not we have that solid number 1, but Jaden Reed is right now our most important receiver. Are we gonna keep him back there all season returning those?
I don't want Jaden Reed returning kicks at all, man. And again, so this is where you hit timeout and go, we're just stupid fans, right? What does Goody think? Well, Goody's not going to tell you exactly what he thinks. So it's just like we always say, you want to know where someone's priorities lie, look at their checkbook and their calendar. Where did he make signings? Savion Williams, people were saying that could be a special teams player, a return guy, right? He signed Mecole Hardman. That's a kick returner, right? You still got Keyshawn Nixon as well. However, I think we put that to bed now. Keyshawn's on board with returning kicks again. I think he was just I think it was more about him feeling like he let the team down at the end of the year. Like, I'm done with this because, could you imagine what that would feel like? Everybody's all hyped up. You're going in. You really feel like you can beat Philadelphia. And if you don't fumble that opening kickoff, I'm not trying to throw Keyshawn under the bus. That's a different ball game.
Yeah, you don't go down 0-7 on your first possession.
Yeah. So imagine what it was like for Keyshawn Nixon to go to that sideline and have to look at his teammates. And then to know at the end of the game, damn it, that one screw. And here's the thing. Yes, he was being careless. Yes, it was a mental error. But at the same time, that's how Keyshawn returns kicks. Like, he's fearless. He's just head down, hit the hole. I don't care if I'm going to get blasted or not. He's kind of fearless on returns. And that day it bit us in the rear end, albeit, believe me.
Penalty.
Believe me, I know Odu led with the crown of the helmet and Keyshawn recovered the fumble, but still pissed.
God, dude, what?
Why did we bring this up?
Why do we even bring that up?
Well, I brought it up because I wanted Jacob to get upset. But the fact is Keyshawn is on defense too. So as a punt returner, you're obviously thinking that if you've been on defense for a while, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plays, but you get the stop. They're only at midfield. They got to kick it. You probably want a offensive guy taking those kicks. So I do get why they want Jaden Reed out there, for kickoffs. If maybe there was a long drive and they scored, do you want Keyshawn returning that? I don't know. But I do think that we're looking at a receiver that could be our punt returner. It's not like unless Marshawn Lloyd's going back there or something like that, it's got to be a receiver that we want to be able to bank on as a returner, and then we can sprinkle in Key would be my thought.
Completely agree there. Coach Lynn also said Malik Heath might be our only power forward top wide receiver on this roster if you think in basketball terms. I can't think of another player receiver-wise on this roster.
Savion, maybe.
Yeah.
Just with his size.
Alan Lazard is what you're saying? We want another Alan Lazard?
Hey, listen, Alan Lazard catches a lot of heat, a lot of hell. For what we paid him, I mean, I would love to see his AV, that value that we got out of him in terms of what we actually paid him. That dude, he was our wide receiver one when Tay wasn't available.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And listen, as much as I point out, and I will continue to point out, we lost that game against the Niners because we had a punt block for a return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Alan Lazard was running butt naked through the trailer park when Aaron Rodgers forced it to Tay Adams in double coverage, right?
I feel like Alan Lazard on your football team is like having a Nickelback or a Creed CD on a really long road trip. It's like you wouldn't pick it, but once you're on that trip, man, you're glad you just got something to listen to. You know what I mean? So Lazard, I think he's still in New York, right? I think they got him like on the depth chart.
He's probably going to be on the Steelers shortly.
Well,
you got that right. No, he's still with the Jets. Lazard is. So
I think they got him at number 2 next to Garrett Wilson on that depth chart. So
again, I don't think he's a bad receiver. No. I think Aaron probably seen a little more in him than everyone else did.
I think that what he did was that Aaron knew exactly where he was going to be on every play, and that earned more respect than being a 4-2 type guy. You know what I mean? He knew exactly that when I call play, Alan Lazard's going to be where I expect Alan Lazard to be.
I'll never forget too. I think it was against was it Miami, where they threw a quick bubble screen and he came over and blocked 3 guys. And when I say blocked 3 guys, he put three grown men on their ass. It was
and then
he counts on his hand.
I looked at him like 2.
Yeah, 3. It was Miami. Definitely.
That's when I was like, all right, I'm a Alan Lazard stan from here on out. So, all right, anything else on that, boys? We good?
I think we're good.
All right, good deal. United Bates, March 17th, 2023, Lazard signed a 4-year, $44 million contract with the Jets. There you go. So they got him at least. That's one of those, a 4-year deal is really a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal in some cases, right? So this will probably be his last year in New York, but nonetheless, hey, he got the bag, didn't he? You're going to need that living up there with those taxes.
Seriously.
You know anything about that, Emilio? Those New York and New Jersey
he
taxes?
Doesn't pay taxes.
Yeah, no bueno. No bueno.
For those of you who don't know, Emilio is originally from where, Emilio? Give me your home address.
Upstate New York.
Okay.
Upstate. So I wasn't down in the city.
I thought he was going to say Mexico.
I had a buddy that lived up east of Buffalo, and he was like, Clayton, he said, it's more country up here than probably is.
It pretty much looks like where we live now. You know what I mean? You don't have the big mountains in the background.
Yeah.
Chuck says Lazard is like a sandwich with no mayo. Hey, at least you got a sandwich. That's good. Really I like that. That's good.
I got to hit you with one of these, though, Chuck. Come on, man. All right. That's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. We're going to get on the betting odds and kind of see where people are projecting the Packers and Packers players to finish in the upcoming season. We appreciate y'all. All right.
Those of you listening on the pod.